On top of the papal palace, dating back to the reforming of the Gregorian calendar by Pope Gregory VIII, and built under the advisement of astronomer Christopher Clavius, one of the oldest observatories in the world was created. The more modern telescopes of the Spicola Vaticana in the observatories dated from 1935. Back then, the Vatican was eager to show that science and religion go well together. At the end of the 19th century, an anti-scientific movement started that claimed that the Church was anti-intellectual. Therefore, Pope Leo XII wanted to show the world that the Vatican supported science and, in 1891, officially attracted astronomers to do research for the Church. Since the founding, they produced many important scientific papers and made several significant discoveries at the observatory. One of them being the delivery of photographic proof of the green flash. The green flash was a rare atmospheric phenomenon that occurs immediately after sunset or just before sunrise. Basically, it's a mirage of the sun, where refracted sunlight delivers a green spot at the top of the sun, lasting never more than a second or two. Daniel O'Connell, a Jesuit priest at the Spicola Vaticana, took the first color picture proof of the phenomenon. In 1935, the then state-of-the-art telescopes were placed on the roof of the summer palace. It was situated just outside of Rome, to have a free line of sight and not be bothered by the city lights. Unfortunately, in the 1980s, the light pollution moved beyond the southern borders of Rome all the way beyond the palace, rendering the telescope virtually unusable for serious discovery. De Cremonese opened the door and walked onto the roof terrace. On a small bench, looking out over the Lago Albano, a young priest worked on his laptop. "Morning, Matteo." The young man opened his mouth to answer, but De Cremonese didn't wait for a response. "When did they first report it?" "The report came in this morning at around 11, but the original sighting was at 12 local time, so 8 this morning." De Cremonese looked at his watch and counted, mumbling. "It took them 3 hours to call us?" Matteo didn't react. "Show me." De Cremonese joined him on the bench. Matteo handed him the laptop. "What am I looking at?" Matteo leaned over De Cremonese and punched a few keys. On the screen, a black and white image of two bright spots against a starry sky appeared. This was the first observation over the southern night sky. De Cremonese put his fingers on the screen and enlarged the two bright objects until they became two big bright blobs against a black screen. He took another close look and shook his head. "Do we know where they originated?" "No. The trajectory suggests somewhere south of there in the Western Hemisphere, but that's all we know." "And what about their trajectory?" Matteo again worked the laptop, and another black and white screen appeared, this time displaying a 10-second clip that repeated. On the screen, the two bright objects became smaller, and while next to each other, they found their way to the top of the screen, where they slowly separated from each other and disappeared. De Cremonese rubbed his eyes. "I take it we're still tracking them?" "As you ordered on the phone." De Cremonese gave Matteo the laptop back and paced the rooftop. On the edge, he stopped overlooking the lake and looked up to the skies. Then he shook his head, searched his cassock, and took out his cell phone. He dialed and looked behind him at Matteo before moving away to add more distance between them. "I got a disturbing call this morning," he half whispered into the phone. "And now I'm looking at even more disturbing telescope images." He listened to the voice on the other end for a minute or two. "I'm sure he must have had his reasons, but you said you were in control of him, that you thought he would wait." The woman's voice on the other end of the line grew louder. The more he continued, the more disturbed she sounded. De Cremonese took another few steps away from Matteo, preventing him from overhearing the conversation. "Listen, do you have any idea what he's up to?"